I get very nervous going into every single one of those. It's just like I want people to like me. I want to like, you know, have a good time. I want to make sure that everyone else is having a good time, and like I'm thinking about a million things going into that. But then like you just get there and like people are genuinely nice. Like they come out, like they're coming to a meetup to meet people and just like explore and create and do things.
Welcome guys, I am your host Umar Khan. This is a podcast where we get the hustlers, where they share their grind.
I'm Joshua Adair, your co-host, and today we have Daniel. Daniel is an entrepreneur. He runs 3 companies, Joda Creative, Vancouver Feature, and Marcus Amadeo, which he just launched today.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Awesome. Pleasure having you on.
Guys, awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. So let's kick it off. What was the push behind entrepreneurship for you?
The push behind entrepreneurship. I've just always sort of had this mindset that I wanted to do more, and like I feel like I've been given a really good upbringing. Like I have amazing parents, amazing family, come from a nice area and stuff, and so I've been given a lot of potential, and I feel like it's like my responsibility to make the most of this and like become, like my mantra is like become the best version of myself so that I can like positively impact the world. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet or what my unique way of going about that is, but I think like entrepreneurship is sort of the route that I've taken to like, it's not just about the businesses you create, but just how good of a person you can become as well, like how optimized you can make your life and like just that kind of thing. So entrepreneurship is like the perfect sort of game to just explore all those different things that I want to do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What was your first venture?
First venture was a company called Time Drops Media, and this was actually very similar to a company I run now, which is Joda Creative. But Time Drops Media was like a specialty video production company, and so we did like time-lapse photography and some aerials and like slow motion stuff, very like kind of specific video stuff. And this was fresh out of film school at the time with one of my other buddies. It was a great first venture. We lasted about 8 months, but all in all like was very young at that point, very inexperienced, and didn't have much background in sales. I've never really been a great sales guy, especially back then. So that was kind of always a lacking area, and I think why ultimately we didn't work out. But that was the first sort of venture.
Cool. Yeah. Nice. And then what was the second one right after that?
Second, this was pretty much the same time with something called Hysteria Events. And coming out of film school, my final project, you get to like choose a final project basically. And I chose to do a live event with my partner basically. And we did this, like we brought in 3 artists into a venue in Vancouver. Very stressful to put on. Definitely realized right away that events is not for me, and that's not like what I'm interested in, especially like those kinds of events. But that was like an events company that we were going to start and like bring in really cool artists into Vancouver and stuff. But realized that was not for me.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you said you were poor in sales. Has that changed by now, or?
Definitely, yeah. I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at without some sort of sales experience. I wouldn't say that like it comes naturally to me. I'm definitely more quiet. I don't like to be pushy and that kind of thing. And I think that sort of works against me in some ways. But after Time Drops Media failed, and I think again largely because of the lack of sales outreach and things like that, I went and found a job in Vancouver, in downtown Vancouver, a company called Build Direct, and they're like a tech company. It's kind of like the online version of Home Depot, basically.
Cool.
And I just went into an inside sales position for them. Did that for about 2 years, and that was just like literally get to work, phones, emails, and chatbots like all day on the website, just like handling sales inquiries and stuff, and reaching out to people and having conversations. So that was like I figured out how to communicate with people. I figured out how to like add value to them and just like kind of do these like small little things that other people necessarily wouldn't, and like just be very customer service focused. So I find that when you just like don't even think about the sale, and it's really just about how do I best add the value to this person and what they're doing and what they need. Then that's like kind of what has worked for me in the past. So, yeah.
Nice.
Interesting.
Any books?
Books? I read the Little Red Book of Selling. That was a really good one actually. That was quite a while ago. Other than that, just kind of just like looking at what other people are doing and like probably just articles here and there and stuff. But yeah, no like notable books that stand out to me for sales specifically.
Nice. And I think it's important because what you said there, all you try to do is help to provide value for people. I think a lot of people get it twisted where sales is, I just want the money.
Yeah.
I want to go after the money. When real business people and real sales people kind of have an understanding of it, it's you have to provide value first.
Yeah.
Give them something value first, so they feel like they're appreciated and they're important, right?
Yeah.
Rather than going after the money.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Right, for sure. And talk to us a little bit about your company that you launched yesterday, Marcus Amadeo.
Yeah, so Marcus Amadeo has been in the works for probably about 2.5 years now, and it's a fashion line basically. So we've just started with a collection of summer tees, bamboo summer tees. I'm wearing one of the samples right now.
Nice.
This is not the branded one, but it's Yeah, basically started this about 2.5 years ago with one of my best friends, Valerian. My middle name is Marcus. His middle name is Amadeo. So we kind of just put those together, and that was our company name. It's supposed to give off this sort of like, European, like we're both come from European backgrounds, so it's like this high-end sort of like luxury boutique brand. And so that's kind of the image that we're trying to portray right now. And me and Valerian are both just very into fashion, very tapped into that scene. I think what actually was one of the instigators was we just created like Instagram pages back in the day around fashion and just like repost other people's content and kind of like curate a style basically. And we're like, what if we could just build a big audience and then plug our own product or something like that? So that was kind of the initial idea, and didn't end up using that platform because it was kind of like, it was a very like broad audience and wasn't very specific to kind of what we wanted to do at the same time. We started over when we actually did Marcus Amadeo properly, but that was kind of one of those leading things, and then just went further and further down the rabbit hole trying to figure out how to actually produce clothing and what that looks like and the process behind that and stuff.
So for the tee, so I'm assuming this is some special custom fabric that you chose out?
So for these tees, basically it's a bamboo, like 70% bamboo, 30% organic cotton. So like very nice, like eco-friendly, like very comfortable and like odor resistant. You can wear this thing for like a week, doesn't smell at all.
Wow.
It's very breathable, so it's good for summer in that it like keeps you, it's supposed to keep you 2 degrees cooler at all times basically.
No way.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like very breathable. But yeah, to be fully honest and transparent, like basically these are blank tees that we buy from another company in bulk. And then we just kind of put our own sort of spin on it in terms of like the logos and design and stuff. So it's very much like a, support us early, calling on friends and family and like networks and calling in favors basically to get that initial sales.
Yeah.
With that, we can start creating more custom stuff for winter and stuff. So that's kind of the plan right now.
That's awesome. So what are those tees starting at right now?
So the tees go for $48. So it's a bit on the higher end side of things. We didn't want to make it too crazy high that friends and family would have a hard time like buying it, or like that's kind of a high ticket price. Want to keep it below 50, but keep it as close to that as possible.
Talk to us about Vancity Future.
Yeah, Vancity Feature. So Vancity Feature was something that we started pretty much the same time we started Jodo Creative, our agency that I'm currently running. So that was back in like August of 2015, I believe. And so we kind of just like, we were running our agency, we're like, man, we don't really have any case studies or like things to point towards to get other clients and things like that. So, we're like, we should just create like a Vancouver repost page and just like feature like really beautiful photography and videos and things like that. And so we were like, what would be a really cool handle for that? So we kind of went looking and we found a bunch of just like inactive Instagram accounts that had really good like Vancouver handles. The one that we got ended up being just like at Vancity. And so some guy from Brazil had this handle and just wasn't using it. And he had like 5 posts on the accounts, and each post had like 200 or 300 comments on it saying like, Instagram, this is inactive, like cancel this account, like can I buy this off you? Like, hey, I DM'd you, I'll pay whatever. And so everyone was trying to get this account. All it really took was the guy had his name in the bio, researched his name, found this guy on LinkedIn eventually, did a DM and reached out. He got back to us pretty quickly and was like, yo, like, I was in Canada one time and, I created it just to share my travels basically. He had no interest in Instagram or like in doing anything with that and just forgot his password, so he kind of moved on. And he's like, if you guys can figure out or like tell me how to reset the password, I'll give you the account. So we were just like, yo, like here's how you do it. Just send him the instructions from Instagram basically. And like 10 minutes later, we're logged in at Vancity, not the credit union. So he's like, okay, this is pretty dope. So we just went away and started like reposting some of our work, but a lot of just like other people's work. And then that was when we started the Vancity Feature hashtag, which has like 110,000 uses now or something. But yeah, so like just like started as a community we wanted to build on the side, and just be able to point towards something when we're trying to land new business basically. And I think that a combination of like it being a really interesting name and like how'd you guys get this name, kind of like an interesting factor, combined with just like posting twice a day, engaging on scale, so just like going and talking to everybody that was posting about cool content in Vancouver and stuff, and did that for a few months, and like before we knew it, we had about 10K, and it just kind of took off from there. So
nice.
Yeah.
And explain the business aspect of it.
Yeah, so that's always been a bit of a more confusing subject, but it's never really been something that we've been trying to monetize all that much, and I think that it's always just been like, how do we provide value to the community, and how do we, just make this into something really cool. We don't really know what it is yet, and so I think it still like was forming for a long time. And we've done like influencer, like we kind of act as an influencer basically, and we have a very like, I think it's like 85% people from Vancouver. So companies that want to market to people in Vancouver, it makes sense for that. And so we did a bunch of that. We also have a lot of clients in Vancouver from Jodo Creative, so we can use our account to like help boost our clients basically. And so that was a little bit of what we did. But in terms of monetizing, like a couple like deals from like Van Dusen Garden, or we've worked with pretty much every like major like travel or adventure company in Vancouver at this point. But a lot of it has been just like trade of service as well. Like, we want to go jet skiing for a day. Like, would you guys be down to collaborate and like, give us some free jet skis for a few hours and we'll give you some content or something like that, or a post. So we kind of use it to like get these experiences. Yeah, exactly.
That's smart.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's value sharing, man. That sounds nice.
Really
Totally,
smart.
man.
Really
Yeah.
smart.
It's nuts.
Um,
And then Joda Create is like your marketing agency, or
Joda Creative. Yeah.
Joda Creative?
Yeah, so that is like the digital and creative agency. That's the hub of everything we do. That's why I'm able to be a full-time entrepreneur, is because that is the revenue generator, basically.
Cool.
And then the whole plan with Joda Creative is like, we love doing marketing. We're very entrepreneurial. It's one of our core values. And so we only hire kind of like other like entrepreneurial people and like people that are very creative and very like another one of our core values is like a hustler mentality. Just like, they'll work until the job is done and it's done properly. And so we kind of surround ourselves by these people, and ideally, like what we're trying to do is create this team of like marketers and creators and entrepreneurs that that just want to like build their own projects and build their own companies and products and things like that. And like we'll still do marketing for like maybe 10 to 15 select companies that we're really sort of like well aligned with and that we're passionate about their business as well. But otherwise, I don't want to take on more business. I'd rather just focus on doing things like Marcus Amadeo or Vancity Feature and monetizing those, and just creating our own businesses basically. So almost like transforming from a marketing agency to like an incubator in the next 5 years or so.
nice.
That's sort of the vision. Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
And-
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, when you started out, was it just a digital marketing agency? Like that was your mindset?
Yeah, it started as an Instagram marketing agency. So like we landed 3 deals just to manage Instagram pages for brands basically. So we would like either curate or create content for it and then just post daily and do all like the best practices to grow them. And then we did that pretty well, and then clients were like, hey, like do you want to also manage Facebook and Twitter and things like that? So it became like a social media agency.
Yeah.
And then it was like, hey, like we need a lot of content to do this social stuff in the first place. Like we should also, like Joel, my business partner, is a creator, freelancing for a long time before we did this business. And so it just made sense to like, he would do the creative, I would do more of the business, client, digital marketing side of things. We'll do that together. We'll grow to a point where we can hire other people to kind of help us on both those sides. And
Yeah.
that's sort of what we've done so far. So
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
where'd you learn to market?
just by doing, honestly.
Cool.
Didn't I guess in film school we did a little bit of that stuff and touched on things like social media, but it wasn't until like just like actually got in and started doing projects like Vancity Feature or the other business that I talked about that failed, like just trying to market those things and figure out what works and what doesn't, and then just sort of like keeping whatever worked, obviously, and then trying to build on top of that.
Okay, digital marketing agency rolling, right?
Yeah.
So what challenges did you face in the beginning?
Challenges would be, this is probably a little bit unique to me, but like just at the beginning, we had 3 clients and I was still working a full-time job at BDC at the time. So like it was like managing that on the side of my desk or in the evenings kind of thing. So there was a point of like maybe like 3-ish months that were just sort of like, those were the grind years. Like that was like the one up till 1 and then at work the next day by like 8 kind of thing. And so, doing that for 3 months, that was pretty challenging. And that was just to like get those clients and actually do good work and be able to keep those clients long enough for me to quit the job and get into the business and do it full time.
Cool.
So just managing that. And then afterwards, it was just like sales, again, has always been, it's tough. Like it's very competitive as well. There's a lot of agencies, not just in Vancouver, but like everywhere. Like, with the rise of social, obviously, it's pretty common to create a social media agency these days.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're competing against a lot of people that really want it and that are talented as well. So it's like, how do you fight for what you want and the right kind of clients and stuff too. We definitely took on some clients that were not a great fit for us as well, and then trying to make a business that you don't believe in or you don't necessarily jive with all that well successful online. That can be difficult as well. So it was just like that's not something I learned until like long afterward, but like at the beginning we would take anything we can get. And I think that's what most people would do in this case, but like try to be more selective and would like really just like partner with brands that you really are excited about actually working with was a major sort of key for us to actually like really up our game and do better work for these people, which is what led to new business and things like that. So
Cool. And then you said you hired people, so how much staff do you guys have right now?
so we're 6 people on Joda right now.
Okay.
Vancity Feature is about 12 people.
Whoa.
And then Marcus Amadeo is 3.
And do you have like an office space, or is it everyone working from home?
Yeah, we have an office in Mount Pleasant.
Nice.
Really cool. We just we've been in that office for a year and a half now, and we finally just we did an influencer deal. Talking about influencer deal, like value exchange basically. We hit up a company, Plucci Furniture, and did like a cool influencer collab with them. So they just decked us out with like a couch and a coffee table and some chairs and stuff. So until now, it's just been sitting on like the business chairs or whatever. And the hammock. We have a hammock in the office, so
That's pretty
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah. then again, you're leveraging your own business.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and like that we can just kind of work into our lives as is, and like what the kind of idea, like what you guys are doing right now with like a video, and you guys have a set here and stuff. Like we do things like that similar to this as well. Not a podcast necessarily, but like the deal with Palucci was like, hey, like if you guys set us up with kind of like a set in the office, we'll put up some branding kind of your guys' name and stuff, and then once we film like all these different projects in here, you guys will always be plugged in our content basically. So it's kind of like a branded content piece, I guess. Yeah, product placement.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
That's amazing. So with Vancity Feature, you don't have an office space for that, or you do? Or is this-
Everything's run out of that one office. So like
Gotcha.
Marcus Amadeo's in there, Vancity Feature, and Joda.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so what do you hire for Vancity Feature? Just like photographers and stuff, or?
For Vancity Feature, so I didn't really expand on this before, but lately, like this year, we've kind of started turning it into like, there's Vancity Feature, which is the main channel. I think that's like 50 to 55-ish thousand followers on Instagram. And then what we did was like, that's kind of like, we've always treated it as like the creative community, and like it's photographers and videographers, and that's like largely what makes up the content on that page, just reposting content from them.
Gotcha.
But that's since changed to more like, we've done like the fashion version now, which is Vancity Wears. And so Vancity Wears is like the same sort of thing, but like this is the creative community, then we have Vancity Wears for the fashion community, now we have Vancity Studio for the music community, and then Vancity Comedy for the comedy community. And then what we've done is like hired like community chapter leaders to run these different things. Each one is a separate business, and then we support by like Joda will be kind of the main hub for it all, like all the communication and content and project management runs through Joda Creative. So we're just kind of hiring like leaders to run these different chapters basically, and then we'll support with content. We'll support with like kind of distribution that we have on the bigger Vancity Feature channel to get people to go and follow and like actually start these communities and stuff. So we teamed up with a musician for Vancity Studio, and he's like really passionate and wanted to do this already. And I was like, hey, like, what if we brought that in-house and just sort of like did another chapter? Like, would you want to run it under the Vancity Feature brand? And like, you can leverage our agency, you can leverage our reach and like our network and things like that. And so that kind of turned into like, okay, now we have one for fashion, for music, for comedy and things like that. I want to do a small business one as well. Like what you guys are doing, like, I'm jealous. Like you guys have a really cool thing going.
What do you mean, our podcast?
Just like
Yeah.
your community you're building and stuff. And yeah, the podcast.
Appreciate
I think
that.
it's really, really cool. So
Appreciate that.
yeah. But yeah, and then with the Vancity Wears one, that was largely like at the beginning kind of a strategic move with starting a fashion brand. Like we didn't have any connections in the fashion industry, so like, hey, like we could start a fashion division of this and like slowly kind of like get into that community, which we're gonna need to know if we want to sell locally and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's kind of like a long-term play, but it seems to be working now. So
Cool.
yeah.
Super
I
insane.
like how you're planning it, man. It's like you're like going wide, and eventually you'll go deep.
Yeah,
do you-
it's
do you
very
run all that?
wide right now. Like, like it is very wide right now. It feels like a lot, but they're like, at the end of the day, like you just got to make sure you have enough people to actually do all these things. And like I'm just sort of like managing teams now, which I love. And like that's like the funnest part. Is just like doing the HR part of this,
Yeah.
and then just like making sure we're bringing in good people to like help with these things. And then I can just sort of like, work on this. I can work on that, or that's sort of like my style. Like I don't like to do just one thing. I like to do a lot. So
That's super cool.
man.
yeah.
It's so interesting because before, obviously off camera, we're just talking about how you come out of high school, you don't know what you do, you're just working. Then you hear the ad for Vancouver Film School, and you're like, all right, whatever, I'm
Yeah.
gonna sign up, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that you're gonna be running a business, and then not just a business, but a successful one, and you had a whole team? Like, was that like a vision of yours, or?
Yeah, man, that's insane.
Yeah, I didn't have that vision. I didn't know that's where this was going to go. I thought maybe I'd make films, or I'd like, produce an album or something like that. Like produce it, not sing it or anything like that. But like film school, like this course covered everything from film to music to events and like the whole creative industry, not just like about film.
Yeah.
And so that was like very eye-opening. And then I thought I wanted to do events. I thought I wanted to do music, and I was like, didn't really know. Thought film maybe, and then it was just like, no, I just want to be an entrepreneur, and like I might dabble in these spaces, but I don't necessarily just want to like do film or something like that. So that was like, I don't know, my eyes really opened in film school, and it was like my whole world changed. I was like, damn, like, yeah. I'd also gone to a very like small high school and stuff, so I didn't have like a very like broad kind of perspective on things. And then film school was a total like jarring, like, everyone that was there was very unique and different and like kind of outspoken, and I just got exposed to so many new viewpoints that just like opened my mind so much. And those experiences just like led me to like, okay, like I've had all these ideas for so long. And I remember before going to film school, I had these ideas. Like I wanted to do a music video for this one artist that I knew. I always tried to create websites and create like forums. And if I could get enough traffic, I could run ads and I could make money or whatever. Like it was very money driven back in the day.
Yeah.
And it was like, how do I get rich kind of thing, basically, to be perfectly honest. But and it's since changed a lot, obviously. But didn't know how that was going to happen. Just sort of figured like, okay, let's just go into film school and like I'll figure it out over there and see what I get exposed to.
Cool.
Interesting. Let's talk about the sales side of it, because obviously whether that's you or you hire somebody else, that plays a big factor.
Mhm.
That's how you get your customers, right? Yeah, talk a bit about that. So at the starting point, I guess, like how was it compared to how it is now? Was it just all you by yourself, or?
Yeah, at the beginning, it was very much just me running the sales, and it was like, basically I would just try to send like, 25 emails, 25 cold emails a week, just to like other businesses that I thought, we could maybe help out with on social media. And I might hear back from, 5 to 10 of them, and maybe like a few of them will book a call, and I'll try to close a sale from there, basically. But it was just like, as long as I got enough emails out per week, that was like a guaranteed, like I would at least get a few leads a week, basically, that I could jump on a call with or have a meeting with and try to like land a deal, basically.
Nice. And did you have any like credibility for them?
At that point, yeah, actually I had a nice sort of like Joel, again, my friend, my business partner at Joda, he was already an influencer on Instagram. I think he had about 40K at the time. And he had great content, like he did really good time lapse, and that's why we did that business earlier and stuff, but he did really kind of interesting content and stuff, so I could kind of leverage that to go and sell like, companies that make camera gear, for instance, for time lapse, like very specific to Joel's, base, or like what he does basically. So I would just say, hey, me and my partner Joel, like, Joel shoots a lot of time lapse, and he's got a bit of an audience here. Like, we'd love to, grow your Instagram profile the same way we grew Joel's, and create content for you and that kind of thing. And like that was enough to like land a few deals. And then once we got in the door, it was like, okay, let's do really good work, and that worked, thankfully, and that just led to bigger retainers with them, and it kind of grew, and then you could leverage that work to get new work and stuff. Right now, honestly, I feel like one of the weaknesses I have is that I don't spend enough time on business development. I feel like I'm managing so many other things that I let business development slide a little bit, and so we rely pretty much on inbound leads at this point, and like if our work is good, that leads to more work. Like we partner with other agencies that like they bring us on all of their projects basically, so they're almost like our sales network essentially. So we don't really do much biz dev anymore. It's more just like kind of managing these opportunities that come in and making sure that we have the bandwidth to actually do good work and like have the time and energy to do that kind of stuff.
Cool.
That's
Yeah.
super sweet.
Yeah.
Love to eventually hire someone though, and like to have some
Like a
full-time
sales-
business.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be like a next move for us. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's so amazing having you on, man. Talk about all your business ventures and the fact that you're so young too. 27.
27. Yeah.
27.
I feel like there's this like, yeah. I guess no, it is still pretty young. I'm always thinking like 30 is coming. It's like I want a big goal for me is like 30 under 30. I want to hit that. So
Right.
like I'm kind of gunning for that as one of my main things. And like you guys are young guys, and like when you talk about guys like Sam Park or Jeremy Lin or like or Gary Parker, like these guys, kind of seeing what they're doing. I'm like, man, like I was not at that point at that age. I was still figuring stuff out. So like they.
Go a little bit more deeper. So like before you even saw that ad and went to film school, what were you like doing?
Yeah, so at that point I worked 2 years at a company called Canadian Car and Truck Rental out in Langley, just cleaning cars basically, and helping people with their rentals and things like that. Again, just like every day, I knew that's not what I wanted to do. I kind of dreaded going to that job. Not that bad of a job, great people that were there and stuff, and like you did drive some nice cars once in a while, so it was cool. But it wasn't like, just wasn't fulfilling. And so I was like, every day I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna get out of this? How am I gonna make some money to like, move out and go to Vancouver or whatever, basically. And so that was like, just the power of that, like always running through your mind every day. Like you don't really realize it, but like you just manifest what you need or what you want, and you kind of just go after it in that sense. So before that, in high school, I was definitely entrepreneurial. Like when I think back at it, like I was trying to, like I said, create websites and forums and things and like drive traffic, and like I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to set these websites up, so I tried to get my buddy like to work for free and like, hey, like can you set me up a website? Like I'll get you into like 20% or whatever, and like just like try to make deals like that. But honestly, nothing stuck, and I was like, I got to figure something out. And that ad just like, I don't know. I hope they know that the radio ad converted. Like that was, because film school costs a lot of money, so like that's a pretty big sale on one radio ad. But it was just so interesting. Like I just knew like from the voiceover that was on that ad, I was like, that sounds exactly like what I need to find out what it is that I want to do in this like entertainment industry. So
That's true. And how old were you at the time?
that would have been, so that was in like 2011, 2012, I think.
2012.
Yeah, so
Okay,
like
around
5
20.
years ago, like I guess 22-ish.
Nice.
Yeah.
And moving out from White Rock to Vancouver, talk a bit about that. So how did your parents react? So you said you saved up all your money and
Yeah.
moved out?
I sold my mountain bike, I sold like my longboard, like everything that I loved to do in the summer and stuff. But I was so excited about film school, so I was like, I had to come up with like, film school was like 25 grand or something like that. So obviously like student loans combined with just like whatever I could do. And so my parents could already kind of see it in me. Like they knew that I was sort of like not fulfilled with what I was doing, and that I wanted to do something bigger. I don't think anybody knew what like the scale of what I really wanted to do at that point. I don't think I even knew. But it was just like, yeah, my parents supported. They've always been really good about what I've been trying to do. Like if I've had a rough month where clients didn't pay and I couldn't make rent or something like that, like they would help me out. So like they've always been there for me, and I really I'm blessed to have that. At the beginning of this podcast, I talked about like coming from a really good upbringing. So like it's like my duty to make sure that I've lived it up to my full potential and like give back in many different ways and stuff. So. Yeah, they supported that move out. It was actually, the first move was with my brother.
Nice.
He landed a job in Vancouver at the same sort of time that I was going to go to film school, so it just like worked out.
Nice.
Brother and I have a great relationship, so we kind of made that work for a year, and then he moved in with his now wife and stuff. But that was a great kind of segue into Vancouver, and then did film school and actually moved back to White Rock for about a period of 6 months after film school, because I started a company and I didn't want to go and work for anybody else. I wanted to go full-time entrepreneur. And I was still pretty young at this point, and that was a premature move. I was not ready to be a full-time entrepreneur at that point. So that business failed. That was the one that I couldn't do enough sales on, Time Drops Media. But yeah, I learned a ton from that, and then carried that into a job, and then found a job in Vancouver, which allowed me to move back out to Vancouver. I knew that like film school, like I fell in love with Vancouver just as a place. Like it just feels like there's like hustle and bustle. Like it's not like it's Toronto or anything or like a bigger city, but it's still like that city
life. Yeah,
and I love that. Like everyone's just trying to like make something of themselves and that kind of thing, and there's just lots of things to do and stuff. So it's like I knew I wanted to be back in Vancouver.
Right.
Yeah.
What advice can you give someone, like a young person listening right now, right? And they're on their journey of becoming an entrepreneur, or they want to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What advice can you give them?
Man, yeah, there'd be a lot of things, but I guess just like what's worked for me is just doing stuff, just like starting with stuff. And
Not being like
you
scared.
like even before this podcast, we were walking up here and you were talking about just like starting stuff and doing things and learning from that. And I think that's the most important thing is to like you find out what you like and what you don't like. You got to fail a few times. I think like nobody's gonna have a perfect track record, and so like the quicker you can get into that, the quicker you'll find something that really sticks with you and that you're like really passionate about, and that's like something that you want to go closer towards. So I think that just like by starting things, if you've ever had an idea to like start a clothing line or a podcast or whatever that is, like what is the next step to do that? What are the 5 next steps? Like if you do that, then what happens after that? Like just start thinking about that and trying that, I guess. That's always kind of worked for me. So.
And we love asking these questions because they're obviously so real to your heart because this is what you live, right?
Yeah.
And obviously with our viewers, anybody watching, it's help for them, right? And so that's kind of like what we center our show around. So it's really cool.
I love that. Yeah, that's really cool, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But man, like,
So yeah, man, we love this show because like we're stepping out of our comfort zone. He's stepping out of his comfort zone. I'm an introvert, but like it's fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like obviously you're nervous a bit before you come and meet the person, but it's fun. You know, you start talking about life, and it's like, oh, this guy's not too bad. I'm not too bad. You know what I mean? Like
that's exactly it, man. I'm also quite introverted, and so I really need time to recharge and stuff. So like I resonate with that. And like for instance, yesterday we did this meetup, Fancy Wears. We do one a month. I get very nervous going into every single one of those. It's just like I want people to like me. And I want to like have a good time. I want to make sure that everyone else is having a good time. And like I'm thinking about a million things going into that. But then like you just get there and like. People are genuinely nice. Like they come out, like they're coming to a meetup to meet people and just like explore and create and do things and stuff. So it's just like, yeah, I still get nervous before a lot of things that I do, but like just pushing through that and like really important.
I think that's important. Talk about your first meetup because we haven't been to one yet, and we've always wanted to go.
Okay, yeah.
But we're kind of like in that space too, where we're kind of nervous,
Yeah.
or we don't really reach out as much to go and find them.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk a bit about that. Your first one.
Yeah. So first one would have been like hosting or
Just going to one, I guess.
going to one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first one I went to was one that I hosted.
Nice.
With Joel actually, and it was early days of Vancity Feature, and so we did one at like Stanley Park. We met at that like big cannon thing on the side of the seawall, and just like we had no plan going into it. It was just like, hey, we're meeting here at this time. Like show up. We're gonna take some photos, walk around, that kind of thing. And was very nervous. Did not want to go to that. I was like, I just wanted to be home in the evening, like chilling and stuff, and not having to deal with all that social anxiety and stuff. But once you're in it and you're in the flow of it and you're having some good conversations, and then like once it ends, you're like, wow, like I'm so glad I did that. Like that was amazing. I walked away not just with like a few Instagram followers and things like that, but like these are people that I genuinely connected with and had conversations with. They now know me as a person. I know them. I'm gonna be that much more likely to support what they're up to and like vice versa.
Yeah.
So like honestly, like you just gotta push through that initial nervousness of it, and I think that everybody gets that going to these things. I honestly, like even last night, like a bunch of people were like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to come to this, like never been to one of these before, didn't know if it was like sketchy or like, you know, who comes to these kinds of things and stuff, but like everyone's always pleasantly surprised by these, and like it's honestly a really good group of people, and I think that again, people are genuinely like, they're nice, and like I guess maybe we've been lucky or something too, but like I just think that, you know, from my experience, meetups has always been a really good experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you talked a little bit about your business partner, but you didn't tell us how you met him.
Yeah, so we actually went to high school together.
Ah.
Yeah, he came to my high school in grade 11, played a little bit of basketball together, and then we weren't actually, you know, really friends in high school. We kind of had different crowds that we hung out with and stuff, but it wasn't until after high school we started hanging out a little bit and realizing we had a lot in common, and then ever since then we've just been creating and doing things together and stuff. So.
Interesting.
Nice. Yeah, going back to, you said it felt so good at the end of the day. Like you're scared going up front, you already planned your event, you want to sit at home all day, you're scared, social anxiety, but then once you go at the end of the day, and then you come home, you're like, I'm so glad I did that.
Yeah.
I saw a post, Will Smith was talking about God places all the greatest things on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
Right? And that's so powerful because you just said it and it was so dear to your heart.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so true. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just say that because I want to do so many things, but there's so many things that whether it's your self-esteem or you're just scared or you're gonna fail, it's man, like you have so much. Everybody has fear.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so you never really know until you try it, and then you get on the other side.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, that's exactly it. Like there's it feels so good to do so. And for like one example for me, I'll just touch on one more thing was I teach at Red Academy, which is like a digital marketing school.
Nice.
And I've been doing that for almost 2 years now, but like I remember I still get nervous before every lesson right now. But I remember first, like I was literally walking into the school and I was like, I've got to come up with an excuse right now to get out of this. Like I can't, there's just no way. And I was like ready to like walk out of that building basically. And I like obviously ended up going in and I was like, okay, like this, you know, if this goes really badly, like maybe I'll just like talk for like 15 minutes or whatever, right? And just get out of there. But ended up like, I think it was like 3 minutes in, I was like, wow, like I know what I'm talking about. Like I can do this. Like I might, you know, not be the best public speaker. I might be pretty quiet or talk too fast or whatever. But I remember after that 3-hour lesson, it's 3-hour digital marketing lessons. After that lesson, I was like, I felt like I could do anything at that point. I was like, I have to do this more. Like I have to get out and just get on the other side of the fear, like what you're talking about and stuff. And like that feeling is so good, and you feel like you've pushed yourself and that you've made the absolute most of that day, and like you're just that much closer to whatever it is that you're trying to get to and stuff. Just every time you break through that barrier, it's just like one more step towards whatever you want.
For sure.
That's beautiful, man.
That's awesome. So Red Academy, digital marketing school?
Yeah, so I had some friends that I knew, actually back from high school too, that were doing some digital marketing, like they worked at Red Academy, doing some guest lessons and like lecture planning and stuff like that, and they knew that I was running an agency at the time, and they offered me to come in to just like speak about influencer marketing and social media growth, those two topics specifically. And then, just put together a deck for that, and now I go in every cohort, like every new group of students that comes in every like 2 months or so, I go and do like 3 different guest lectures basically.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. Is that in Vancouver?
Yeah, it's up on like West Broadway and Granville, so like pretty close to our office actually, so it's kind of nice.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool, man.
It's a cool side gig to have.
Yeah.
That's super
So
sweet.
we're coming towards the end of the podcast. Before we have these 2 segments. Where can everyone find you?
Everyone can find me at my website, danielgogolin.com, or Instagram's probably my favorite platform that I'm on the most, which is just at Daniel Gogolin, just my name.
And all the links will be in the description.
And,
So we have 2 segments to end the show.
Okay.
Josh, want to run them down?
First one, you're gonna look at the camera and
Yeah.
kind of give like a 60-second hustle of something that could be motivating or something to get off your chest to the viewers that could help somebody else and inspire them. So take your time.
Okay.
And then the second one is calling out somebody that you know on the show next. So it could be a friend, somebody who has a passion and a story, who's not afraid to come on the show and express that.
Well, I will just say that, man, there is so much opportunity in this world, and I feel that like a lot of people get held back by things like fear or insecurities or just not knowing what the next step is or things like that. But honestly, like if you told me where I was going to be, you know, from 3 years ago or even like a few years ago, what I'm doing now and stuff, I just wouldn't have believed it. And so like honestly, the first and most important thing is just starting. And just like kind of taking a stab at things and just seeing where that goes, and then dealing with the next problem that comes up and the next one and the next one, and just like creating what it is that you truly want to do, because you're going to be doing it for a very long time, and so you better make sure that you know you really like what you do and that you're passionate about it. I think passion is really, really key. Otherwise, you just won't have the sort of the grit that's needed to really stick things through over the long term and stuff. So That's what I'll go with for today.
That's awesome. That was a great one.
Yeah,
Alright,
that's
and our
awesome.
second one, call somebody on the show.
Okay. Ooh. So this would be like another guest for you guys?
Another guess, yeah.
Okay.
It's a cool kind of like referral thing we do.
I know.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
actually a really good idea. Yeah. The guys that come to my head are now the guys you guys have talked to, like Gary and those guys.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
no, there's so many people. I will do. Oh, I know. So just call them out.
Yeah, call him out, yeah.
I want to call out Marlon Dahl. Marlon Dahl needs to get on this show. He's got a great story and he's got a lot of hustle.
Awesome.
Awesome. We'll see you on Marlon.
We'll see you soon. And yeah, thanks for coming to the podcast.
Pleasure.
And thanks for watching, guys. Until next time. Peace.